All right, here we go. I got an interesting game here. It's Smith Morra, and well, what can I say? I played a really interesting move. It was a fun variation, and I think there's a few lessons to be learned from this game. So it's a Smith Morra, so a fun gambit. I've been playing against a Sicilian, and shout out to Marc Esserman, Mayhem and the Morra. It's a fantastic book. I would definitely recommend it. It's seriously, it's so much fun to play these lines against a Sicilian instead of going into some boring, you know, when you see uh, C5 out. Sometimes I used to, as an E4 player, I used to be like, I'm not really excited for this because I'd go into some, open Sicilian type shit. But yeah, it wasn't always the best. Anyway, so I've been really enjoying the Smith one. And so I'm going to get into the game. So D4 takes, obviously, C3, all normal moves. And then we had knight coming out. My knight comes out. And this is normal development in Smith Morra. He plays the dragon here. I guess it's called the Fianchetto variation versus the Smith Morra. So that was interesting to find out. But again, just normal Smith Morra development. Knight's out first. Bishop comes out to c4, and then we're gonna look to castle. Maybe queen on d2, bring the rook over to d1. This bishop will find some place in this diagonal. Maybe hold on to the d4 square, and we participate in a game. That's how it goes. So castles. He plays d6, and immediately when I saw d6, I was thinking. Maybe I could jump the knight into g5. Normally, maybe e6 is more of a normal move, protecting this f7 pawn against this nice Italian bishop on the Italian diagonal there. So I was a little hasty. I played knight b5 in this position, or excuse me, knight g5 in this position. And maybe the better move is just e5. E5 and open things up in the center. I'm not going to go crazy with this variation, but maybe takes. We get a queen trade. I wasn't sold on E5. Computer likes E5. I would need to investigate a little bit more. But oh god, after knight G5, he plays knight E5. And I think the purpose of this move was to defend this pawn. And I don't know. I was a little nervous. Immediately when he played this move, I was thinking possibly f4 to kick the knight away. But I felt like that might be a little premature. So I played queen b3. I want to stockpile pressure against this pawn. It's, it was an okay move. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And you can see from the few games that have been played here, white scores pretty well. Anyway, we had knight takes c4. Excuse me, not yet. We had e6 first, defending. And then I played rook d1. There's another line here with bishop b5 check, and I'll show you a few variation. But I played rook d1. Totally a fine move, lining up against the queen. This is a classic Smith Morra move. Rook's on the open C and D files, so that's always a nice thing. If I had played bishop b5 check in this position, his only good move is king f8, actually. Knight c6 runs into rook d1. And you can see, this knight's pinned, this pawn is pinned to the queen. I probably can get in some moves. It's going to be a fun game for me. And then bishop d7. Bishop d7 blocking this check actually runs into f4. This is where f4 was coming in that I was thinking about it. And what's the move here? Yeah. He blocks with the knight and then brings the knight away from the pawn. And then I liked this a lot. You break things open. G takes, and just look at this. I have all this pressure on this on his e pawn. My bishop is lined up with his king. My rook is coming to e1. My bishop is going to come out, and it's just a fantastic position. And the classic, knight d5. Knight d5 might be some idea here after I pin this pawn. So that one was really interesting. So king f8 would actually be his only move to make it a game. So anyway, I didn't go for that. Didn't go for the check, and I played rook d1. So we have this position, normal position. He brings his knight out, and now I was a little. I don't know. I was a little over aggressive here. So maybe a better move here is knight b5 actually. Going after this pawn, we can see knight b5, and I have a pretty good attack on this d6 pawn. But I played f4, immediately trying to kick away this knight. I mean, it was definitely aggressive, but I'm not trying to play like the computer. I'm trying to play like me, So he takes and plays a6. I think the point of a6 is probably to play b5. And I think this is why I played a4. A4 is kind of unnecessary. But I think I played a4 to stop b5. I can't really remember why, but I'm thinking back on it now, because if I play a4 and then he plays b5, yeah, it stops b5. Never mind. So a4. So maybe a4 to stop b5, and then eventually play a5 myself. So I don't know. Bishop d7. This hangs a pawn. So nice little pickup. Good to see this. And when you play solidly for 12 moves out of the opening, and I had a lot of pressure on my opponent, I had this crazy move f4. It's likely that they're going to blunder. You can see the time. I'm not great on time, but he's definitely eaten to a bit of his clock as well. So now we get rook takes. Now we get b5, like I was saying. I dropped my queen back. Didn't really, taking isn't anything necessary. I can simply drop my queen back, get my queen coordinated with my rook, and then start going after this bishop. He drops his knight back, and if you guys want to pause your video and maybe don't try not to look at the next move, but I managed to find the winning continuation here, and it's super fun. So you get sacrifices like this all the time in the Morra. There's a bunch of stuff with knight d5. There's tons of sacking, and it's always fun. When you get your sack involved, that's when things heat up. So knight takes f7. Super. It's I don't know what to say. It was probably one of the cooler moves I've played. I'm not a great player, but it was awesome to find this move. And there's nothing he can. I mean, he's losing. If he takes, just rook takes, obviously. And then if he played what he did in the game, so he has two different queen moves. He can go here and here, but the continuations are fairly similar. He played c7, and now the best move here. Obviously, I'm never gonna fucking find this thing, but f5. F5 is the best move. I didn't play f5. I played a pawn move, and it was the pawn right next to f5, but it wasn't f5. And I'll show you guys the reason for f5 in a little bit. But I played e5, and then we got knight takes, which is actually a mistake from him. I should have taken with the knight, which is actually a mistake from me, which I'll talk about in a second. And then queen check, and I played bishop here blocking. So if we go back and take a look at this position, knight takes actually allows knight takes, and this king is forced over here, and I'm gonna have some fun times. I'm probably gonna try to open this up, open up my dark squared bishop, get him involved, and then my rook can come over to the f file, and you can see this king is not gonna have it's not a happy king, and this knight is just so strong. Look at this knight, it's just controlling all these squares. So this is gonna be a fun game, and then back in this position, the continuation here would go something like f5, allowing knight takes rook, knight takes knight check, king f8, and then f6. Pretty interesting move. And we can see, again, this idea of just opening up lines for the pieces. The queen's coming here, my bishop's coming out, and my rook is going to swing over to the f file. And obviously, I didn't see this in the game. I wasn't really thinking about that. But yeah, so some really interesting ideas that you can kind of take away. And you can see that it's not always about just trying to win as much material as possible. Like if I can open up lines to this unprotected king and have a fantastic knight on d6, I'm going to be better. And this knight has got to be worth, way more than 3 points. So, yeah, I can go through the last bit here. I ended up winning. I was really low on time, as you'll see, so I definitely made some mistakes, but I managed to trade down into an endgame. Obviously, I won this rook, which was nice. I managed to trade down into an endgame, and then eventually he blundered, and I got this. And there was there's a few moves here. I was low on time, so I was just trying to trade down. I only had 8 seconds, and I don't think very fast. So yeah, eventually this is a long drawn out end game, but I eventually won it. So it was super cool, and I was super happy to find the sacrifice on f7. So hope you guys got something from that, and shout out to the new shout out to Tiesto. He's sick.